Welcome to episode 31 of the 200 movie challenge. And I say 31. I say this to start every episode pretty much, and I'm going to say it again. If you're actually listening to the beginning, we started a journey at the beginning of the year, January 1st, to watch 200 movies that we haven't seen yet. So we can't watch anything that we've already seen. We can't watch like Back to the Future or Pulp Fiction. No, we got to find 200 movies. New, old, whatever, however it comes by us, and we're seeing these, and we talk about it, have a little fun with it. So thank you for joining us, because we are going to get to movie 150 at the end of this podcast. Holy shit. Woohoo! That's 3/4 of the way. Month-wise, we're pretty much a couple weeks ahead, so we are still like right there. It's not like we have to bust out so many at the end, like, oh shit, we got to do it. We're pretty much there. But Soto,
dude, oh god, I'm gonna need a therapy session after this. Just when we're done, just a nice sit down therapy talk, whether we do it live or something. But just
yep,
just heavy lifting.
It is. At the end of this, I know we're gonna have a huge recap. And we're gonna kind of go through not all the movies that we've done, but I am gonna kind of put together like a running reel of all 200 movies as we just talk about this journey and kind of relive some of the movies and moments. Because, it's, 9 months ago we started this on a New Year's Day, and I watched, I think, 2 or 3 films because I was home and I'm like, I got nothing to do. I don't even care. But we took a week off yesterday. You did. You watched Oppenheimer to start things off. My first movie was Clerks 3. Way back. That's how we started.
So jealous. New Year's Day. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was just bored as fuck. So, yeah.
Well, here we are, episode 31. And also, what I've pledged and you have pledged with me is we're doing no Tubi September. So, yes, we missed last week, so we're doubling up. So there's 8 movies. Some of these might be short. We don't know. But we're just going to go with it. But Soto, no Tubi September. I wanted to start off this week happy, and we've talked about this the last couple of weeks. When we need to go to a happy place, we go to Disney Plus. Because you need those animated movies, those Disney classics. Just something that makes us feel good, because we watched a lot of shit within the last 8 or 9 months, and not all shit. There has been a lot of good ones, but whenever we need to quickly get a 90-minute movie, we're just like, fuck it, we'll go to Tubi, because you can even get a 70-minute movie there. But anyhow, so yes, I went to Disney Plus. And so, before I even get the movie, do you remember way back in 1993 a little movie called Homeward Bound?
Of course I do.
I love Homeward Bound. Homeward Bound is a great movie. Anyone that has pets, if you did not feel any emotion at the end of the movie, you either had no pets or you're a sociopath. I'm sorry. You know what I'm talking about.
I fucking agree. I agree with you 100%. Like, if you do not fuck with dogs and animals like that, I do not fuck with you, especially in that movie.
Correct. And spoiler, Shadow coming, just, it's going to be a happy ending. They're going to find it. You just know, because at that time. And I still was like, God, I love this movie. It's a great story. Michael J. Fox, Sally Field, and Donna Mesh doing the voices. Soto, and now, if you know, the movie's called Homeward Bound / The Incredible Journey. Because it's based on a 1960. It is because it's based on a 1961 book called The Incredible Journey.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
It's an okay name.
It is. Well, that's just what they named the book. And the woman actually based a story on her 3 pets at the time. But Soto, this isn't the first time they made a movie out of this book. There is actually a 1963 movie called The Incredible Journey. So that is my very first movie that I am actually going to talk about today. So I'm going to 100% 1963. What?
Wow, my flabbers are gasted.
Your flabbers are gasted.
I did not know there was another. Wow. Okay.
So
take this.
Well, I'm going to kind of talk about the differences, and you'll see a lot of things. So yes, the story is pretty similar. 2 cats and a dog, though in this movie, Incredible Journey, the golden retriever is like the young pup. And they actually have like the bull terrier as the older dog. The names are obviously different. We got Lewis, who's the Labrador golden retriever. Bodger is the name of the old dog, and Tao is the name of the Siamese cat. Very 60s.
Oh, it's Siamese cat.
Very 60s, yes. So this movie kind of starts off, if you remember Homeward Bound, you know, they go really into why the family dropped off the animals. They give more of a backstory. This one, the guy already has the animals. A lot of things are similar. He goes away on a trip. He's having someone watch the animals. He leaves a note. The note falls. Blah blah blah. Dogs, you know, all the pets panic. Like, what's happening? We gotta go home. So it kind of starts in the middle there. We also Soto don't meet the kids until the very last scene. And now I'm building up the reason why this is good and bad. The major difference is, I just mentioned with Homeward Bound, I think we had the voiceover. So each animal kind of had a personality. Like I said, Michael J. Fox's Chance, Don, they were great. They conveyed a lot of emotion, what they could in the voices, and they just fit the characters. This one, it's a narrator. It's almost like reading a book, and he's kind of more explaining the story. So the dogs and cat do not have like the inner voices in Homeward Bound that they do in this. But a lot of similar, you know, scenes. You know, the scene with the bears, with the cat getting separated. So there is a lot of similarities. There's not, the kids aren't even in this movie at all. So in Homeward Bound, they're showing the kids, especially when they find out, the family finds out the pets are missing, their journey to find the dogs. And yes, it's more focused on the animals. Whereas this, I think that's where the emotional moment does not happen in this movie like it does in Homeward Bound, because you're getting narrated a story and you don't meet the kids at the end. So it's like, oh, who are these people? Why do I hate to say it like this? Why do I care? But it's it's still a happy, you know, Disney film. The first thing I noticed, and I laughed, is, you know, opening credits are starting. The pets, the animals, get top billing. Like, you just see their names, like the whatever the real pet's name, they're like, so-and-so is Lou. And I'm like, you know what? Good for them. They are technically the stars. These pets got, you know, top billing. So I'm laughing. But yeah, so for the most part, I think this movie was fine. But it's basically, like I said, someone's reading a story, a book to you, and you're seeing it play out, which is, you know, very good for 60s movies.
Yeah.
Whereas again, like I said, having the voiceovers in Homeward Bound, they definitely, and having more of the humans, you know, seeing them going back and forth a little bit, you're going along the emotional story. Whereas this, they don't know, but it's the same idea. Like, Bodger's old, and they're just like, before they left, even the young dog and the cat's like, I don't know if he can make it, but the end plays out the same. The young dog comes in, the dad actually, he's like, oh my God. And then it's the oldest son with the old dog, and they have their moment. But again, without meeting those kids throughout the movie, it's like, I don't even know their journey. Like, they're not sad. And he says the same line. He was just too old. And so it's there, but overall, Homeward Bound gave me more of that emotional moment. I mean, I was fine with Incredible Journey. I'm not going to go back and watch this. I would rather go back and watch Homeward Bound. I probably will when this year is over and we can watch regular films again. But
regular movies.
But for the most part, yeah. I mean, and then I think about what it was done, how this was done in the 60s, because obviously, you know, it's not like they had those special effects now. So, you know, just the way they did them. And the scenes were shot fine. You know, like I said, everything was fine in this movie. But that's the problem. It was just the sequel, or no, excuse me, the remake did it better than the original, 100%. And I
mean, I agree. It's a classic. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it's not like there's anything wrong. I just think no one's going to talk about this just because Homeward Bound did it better. It gave us more personality just with everyone. There is a crazy scene in Incredible Journey, I will say, that like one of the old guys who finds the animals, like, he's just this crazy in the woods guy. So you're just like, oh shit. Like, it's not like he's crazy. He's just very a hermit's the best way I can explain it. They probably use that term in there. And he takes the animals in his little cabin, and you see him fixing 4 plates, and you're like, oh, this is nice. He's going to feed the animals. And he sits down and starts eating. And it's like he almost forgot there's pets. And then he sits down at the next plate and eats like what the dogs was, because the pets don't think to sit at the table, obviously. And it's kind of hilarious, but kind of alarming at the same time. And then he's like, oh, wait, that's right. I found it. Like, I don't get the point of it, but I'm like, there is some originality to it. But like I said, a lot of it, the same scenes, the porcupines of the dog's face, you know, everything, you know, they didn't change much. They did update it more for the 90s one to make it feel more 90s, you know, with the cooler names and just maybe more of the atmosphere. But yeah, so like I said, so there is I'm not telling people don't see this, but if you see Homeward Bound, go that route. Incredible Journey is just fine. I just don't think kids these days, it would be too boring because back then
kids these days.
No, but well, think about it. This gets narrated like a book, and they're kind
of course,
and which is again acceptable.
We were okay with it. We were like, oh yeah, we're fine with this, but I get it. Kids these days.
So, so there is an original movie. Like I said, it is based on a book. I was kind of shocked to find it. I think I heard about this a while ago. I'm like, all right, and then I'm like, you know what? Let's just see what they did different. And again, this was acceptable. I'm not going back to see it. I'm not saying this was a bad movie. I just think Homeward Bound did so much more things better that, again, we just talked about, like, I felt, I got emotional, during that reunion scene. Again, we know, even when I rewatch it and I know exactly what's going to happen, I'm like, probably because I also had a golden retriever at one time. I'm just like, I just feel it,
I was just going to ask you, because, I continue to learn things about you, but, like, I've never known you to have a dog.
Because you met me after. Like, growing up, I always had a dog. I had and cats. I had cats too.
Which I can't picture. You seem like much more of a dog.
And then, let me rephrase. My sister had a cat. It was in the house. I'll pet it. And I am a dog. Even as a mailman, I love dogs. There's ones that have come out. I met a new dog today, and it just came in. I'm like, I always ask, can I pet? Even though I can see overly friendly, like, yeah. No, I love dogs, and I grew up pets. Just obviously where we live, we just not allowed to have pets. So that's part of the reason. Dude. Actually, when I met you,
oh my god,
yeah. But the real question is, how do I rank this film? Where do I put this in our overall list? And sorry, I'm kind of scrolling as I'm doing this. So, like I said, it's not bad. But it is going to rank a little lower than I think some people might expect. I mean, I'm in a certain range. I already see where I'm just trying to decide. So I know we always say,
range. Well, no, because we're here. We're in the 70s, 80s. Like we joked about this. We're here right now. Like this is happening when we were like, this is going to suck when it gets to this number. Welcome.
Okay.
We are now.
Okay.
We're in the future.
At the moment, and I feel pretty confident about this one at the moment, but again, it could change. I am going to put this at number 46. So it's going to go above Wings and below the movie Fall. Because I think that's where these are like my acceptable movies, especially with the old ones. Mm-hmm. I like them. They're just not going to, it's not going to stick with me for some reason. That's kind of, right now, like I said, I feel pretty confident. I know me and you have recently kind of did some tweaks to our list, and it might happen, but low 40s, mid 40s is kind of where I'm at, and I feel comfortable with that. It didn't blow me away, but I didn't expect this one to blow me away. I was just very curious because, again, I've said it. I love Homeward Bound. It is a great movie. Incredible. This Incredible Journey, did not work out for me. So that's where I'm at. That's how I'm feeling at the moment.
You thought it was cute though. Like you thought it was cute, but it wasn't like great.
So but if I did not see Homeward Bound, like if this is my first thing with the interaction with this kind of story, maybe but I just think there's just so much the remake did better and they did it correctly. Like I said, having the animals have their own voices to create their own personalities really helped instead of a narrator. Like I said, it was decent. It's just an older Disney film, and that's how they used to do a lot of older Disney films. So, no, I didn't mind it. So, but I won't go back and watch it, and I'll leave it at that. Oh,
back and watch it. Are you sure?
100% sure. I'm dead serious. I'm probably going to rewatch Homeward Bound when I got free time and I don't have to bust in a lot of movies. Because it's been a while since I have seen that movie from beginning to end. And, it's a classic. It's a classic to me. So, but Soto, your first movie is a movie that I've actually considered watching. I was close to watching this 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I think I went a different route, and it was always something I'm like, I'll get back to it. And you surprised me. Not that because I wasn't expecting you to go that route, But you ended up watching it. So let's talk about the very first movie that you saw this week.
Oh, I saw obviously the huge hit Netflix movie K-pop Demon Hunters, which it's pretty huge right now. I don't know if you know how huge it is, but it's fucking huge. And I guess, all right, how do I even start this off? All right, you're the musical guy.
Okay.
I am not. Like this movie, like what's a musical? Like maybe I don't know the definition of a musical, but there's a lot of music in this movie. And some of it is no pun intended for later, but it's insidious and how it gets into your fucking mind. And how it stays there. And if I can describe it, it's Sony. It's done by the same animation studio that did the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, like that whole thing, which I really liked.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, dude, if you should watch it.
Maybe it'll be on this list. When I go back to Disney Plus, I'll be like, "Ooh, look at this!" Yeah, but anyhow, we're not.
Dude, Nicolas Cage is in it. Okay, so that's all I want to say. Nicolas Cage is in that. So just FYI, that gives you it. And he's actually really good. But anyways, it's from that same kind of animation studio, and I guess from what I was reading, Sony thought that this was going to be a bomb, and they sold the rights to Netflix because they didn't think that anybody was going to watch this movie, and I think they lost like $900 million because Netflix has made so much money on this movie. Also, this movie was so popular on Netflix that it actually predicated a movie theater run, which is strange because we don't think about streaming going to the theaters, but like if something is so good, then it gets elevated to theater status. And people were watching this in movies, and it's a huge global hit. People are singing in the theaters, so it's not as stupid as fucking Chicken Jockey, but which we both experienced here. Yeah. But it was a huge hit, and it really revolves around a group of three Korean pop stars, and they are secretly demon hunters, and the songs that they sing kind of keeps the barrier of like the real world, like, and the barrier of the demons, like in that situation. But I won't spoil anything for you because I do feel like you'll want to see this. But as things unfold, there are problems that arise, but there's a lot of crazy good songs in this that are super addictive, and the way the animation is done, and just the way that everything, I was a big fan. Now, I will say this. I feel like this is the first movie this year that has made me feel my age. And what I mean by that,
I know where this is going. I feel it. Go ahead.
What I mean by that is that I get everything about why this is cool, but there was another level like that I didn't get it. And I think that if you're a parent and you had a kid and you had kids that were listening to this and it's like always on, it's like it's a different kind of thing, and maybe you get the inside joke, but I didn't understand really what the big deal was, with this movie. The songs are really good. And I like the whole vibe, but I didn't expect that this movie would be some sort of phenomenon. But then you fast forward a week later and I'm at my brother-in-law's house, and my nephew is just running around the house, and they're like, "Oh, what do we do? Oh, let's put on K-pop Demon Hunters." And that shit calmed him down, and he was just watching TV, and it was like on repeat. And it captivated his attention. And I was like, "Oh, parents are using this to calm their kids down." But it's definitely, to me, although it does have kind of like scary elements like demons, this is 100% a kids movie.
Oh yeah.
It is made for kids. It is for kids of literally all ages, I would say. Again, outside of like some scary monster demon images, like overall, like this is a 100% kids movie. It's got songs that are super catchy. You can sing along to. I mean, they even have like lyric like versions of this movie, and it just captivates their minds. For me, in my mid 40s, I didn't. Again, I appreciated what I was watching, but I don't think I fully got it. Does that make sense?
So yes, I think I know where we're going, and I'm gonna kind of expand and ask a couple questions. Because you are the anime guy from the two of us. Obviously, you watch a hell of a lot more anime and these kind of cartoons. But but obviously, yes, K-pop is definitely whatever the last 10, 15 years that this really blew up. But and not to make it sound old, it's like, music these days. But I have heard how huge this popped up, and the question mainly is, did Sony technically lose money because they sold it maybe just because Netflix was a better platform, and the fact that it was streaming at first, that's why. Whereas Sony, if they maybe tried to put in again, who knows? This is what ifs, but as an anime fan, going back to my original question, so was it basically, if you take away the music, was the story there for you, or is this pretty much, this is actually, you kind of answered that. The music keeps the demons away, but
it does. Yeah, no. I mean, of course, I don't want to give too much away because a lot of what leads up into that key, 25-minute range where you first find out the problem, like, is kind of a spoiler.
Okay.
So, and it's kind of interesting. And so when it happens, it changes the tonality of the movie, and then that's the story for the rest of it. Like, you wouldn't kind of expect that going in. Does that make sense? And then so you have the movie start and everything gets set up like a movie, and then a wrench is thrown into it, and then now it becomes overcoming that wrench until you finally go into like the third act, right?
Yeah.
That's basically what happened. So I don't want to spoil it. But
I understand.
I personally, I like anime because I really appreciate hand-drawn animation. I grew up on Disney. I grew up on all that stuff. I grew up on Don Bluth movies, like Secret of NIMH is one of my favorite movies. I love hand-drawn, just everything. Even the cartoons we grew up on, it was all hand-drawn. I'd watch Robotech and Thundercats, and I love G.I. Joe and all these things, Transformers. Hand-drawn animation. I'm not as big into the CG stuff. And like, yes, I love Pixar. We talked about Coco. That's in my top 10. And I've seen some great Pixar movies. I'm not saying that those are bad. And I'm not saying that the animation in K-pop Demon Hunters is bad either. I don't mind it. It's cool. It's got a vibe. It's not as vibey as Spider-Man Across the Universe or Spider-Verse was for me. Because that, like, visually, that movie is just absolutely spectacular and a masterpiece. So it didn't hit those notes for me, but like with CG, I'm kind of like meh about it. So, I don't really like fuck with CG as much as I do with hand drawn. And when it comes to K-pop, I'm like you. I don't get the K-pop thing. I wasn't a part of the K-pop thing. I am down with like current music, and I know current musical trends, like with hip hop and even Sarah's goth country that she listens to. But like, I just didn't, the K-pop thing that I didn't get. And then, the animation was kind of weird. So from an anime perspective, story wise, without the music, I mean, I've seen this story so many times. And if you watched it, you would also be like, oh, okay, yep, this is the same exact story I've seen so many times. But it's like you've said before, it's how it's delivered. And I think the way it's delivered is very good. I think you would enjoy a movie like this because you're more towards the musical sides. But I don't know how musicals work. I've never seen like Wicked or anything like that. So like, I don't know, is like all the narrative saying? I'm not sure. But if you like music and you like catchy pop tunes and a decent story wrapped around with some good animation, it's worth checking out. That's why I won't spoil it, because I'm pretty sure that you would actually kind of like this movie.
I probably will see it. Like I said, it just because I think the title alone, not knowing shit about it, and this is before obviously it became huge, because I think I first noticed it when Netflix first put it on, because obviously they flash it right on the main screen. I'm like, huh, because you got K-pop, Demon Hunters. You're like, how does this, so there was a curiosity, and then it became this global phenomenon. And yes, I've heard like huge. These songs are, very popular and stuff like that. And just like K-pop. So yeah, I don't know if I'll see it for this year. Maybe if I'm ahead of the movies, I'll check it out and I'll do a quick recap with you. We can talk about. But yeah, no, it's there because we've talked about it. I like things that are different. I like things that are out of the box, and just the title alone sounds very out of the box, but there is
dude, the songs are bangers. The songs are bangers. Like the songs get in your head, and like I had the main song in my head for like the whole entire week. If I'm in the bathroom, it's going through my head. As I'm walking around, it's in my head. And obviously, we're both on TikTok, so you see a lot of media there too with audio. But I think you'd like it. I think you'd like it. And I think if you just went into it with an open mind, and I know you love music, I think you would like it. I think you really would be surprised how much you liked it.
But the question is, Soto, not how much I like it. How much did you like it?
I know.
And where are you putting this on your list? This is now your 73rd movie. So yeah, where are we putting K-pop Demon Hunters on the Soto enjoyment list?
Again, I respect this movie, and I'll probably end up watching it again. I know I've only said that for like a couple of movies on here. I'm not saying, so this is one of those ones I would watch again, but it's not like because it's like, anything crazy that I haven't seen before, just because, I wouldn't mind. And I have watched it again in the background. We were having dinner, and of course, K-pop Demon Hunters was doing its thing. But, as I take a look at my list and where it naturally feels good for this movie to be right now in this journey this would be right below Terrifier 2. This would be my number 16th movie for the year.
Oh, okay. I'll be honest, I didn't think it was going to go that high. But no, that's good. Just kind of look. Yeah,
I mean, it's made with it. It has quality. Look, I didn't get it. Well, I didn't get the big deal. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because obviously I know it's huge and people can't get enough of it. And my sister talks about it all the time. Like she made a comment when AJ Lee came back that now the Honmoon had been like healed, which is like the name of the barrier that like they are like trying to keep active so the demons don't come in. But I didn't get that when she said that. But she was trying to say that all is now right in the world, like when AJ Lee came back. My sister was a humongous AJ Lee fan, apparently.
Oh, she has good taste. So was I.
Yeah, so because my sister was like, when AJ Lee came out, her and I were texting each other, and she just screamed when AJ Lee came out. She was like emotional about it, and I just kind of felt like with this movie, like I understand the enthusiasm, but it didn't exactly blow me away. That's my review on it. It's like, didn't blow me away. I get it, but I think maybe if I had kids, I'd like it more. Who knows?
Yeah, but it's not about any kids' enjoyment. It's about your enjoyment as a 40-year-old man,
yes.
40-something-year-old man.
Yeah, the 40-somethings. That's what we are.
We are, and yes, I've heard a couple K-pop songs. I couldn't tell you. So. But who knows? Yeah. I probably will end up checking it out one day. So
I think you should. I recommend it to use it. Like if you were my customer and you were like, hey, what should I watch? And I'm like, dude, watch this. I know what you like.
All right. Soto, we need to stay in this kind of musical not drama, but musical movie thought.
Do we?
Well, in a different way. Yes. So again, I was on Netflix and I was perusing, and because no to be September, and I'm like, I need to find something that looks good, something that might be different. And this picture popped up, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be good, but it's piqued my interest. So for my next movie, my 79th movie, I am going to start numbering down a little bit to Lisa Lady. I actually saw a Netflix documentary. So I went back to the documentary, but it is about music because I saw the movie The Greatest Night in Pop. It's a 2024 documentary. It is about how the song We Are the World came to be. Now, for those of us, for those of us in the older generations of the world, way back in the, I think, 84, 85, there is this huge song called We Are the World. It was written by Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie, which I'm going to get into a little bit. It was put together, and it's tons, tons of famous artists of that era sang on this song, and a lot of them had one line or half line, and some of them didn't have lines at all. But anyhow, it was basically started by Quincy Jones because he wanted to help with the famine in Ethiopia, everything going on in there, the hunger. Hence, it's called USA for Africa. But yeah, so anyone that knows anything about We Are the World kind of knows a lot of these artists who are a part of it. I don't feel like I need to go down, but when you have, let's put it this way, Bruce Springsteen, we got Kenny Loggins, obviously Huey Lewis, Cyndi Lauper, but Soda, let me tell you some people who didn't even get lines, who are just part of the chorus. Bette Midler, Dan Aykroyd, the Jacksons, Sheila E. So there are so many people who didn't even get lines. Smokey Robinson, that were just there. But so this movie is basically how this song got put together. And I actually found this very interesting because outside of like world events, there's very few moments in sports, entertainment, that kind of thing where there's a moment that's bigger than everyone involved. And I'm just talking about more of the, pop culture, references, nothing, real world, so to speak, and I'm not trying to compare, but it's like, I know we don't remember, but you've heard the story Miracle in Vice, the 1980s hockey team being in that moment that united a country, and that was just a freaking hockey game. But everything that was going on, like I said, that moment was bigger than anyone that was playing it. The result of this is the same. So yes, Quincy Jones came up with the idea. He wanted to help, and he came up like, hey, I want to write a song. He contacted Lionel Richie, and who was kind of big at that time. And Lionel Richie was supposed to write the song with Stevie Wonder, but he could not get a hold of Stevie Wonder. He actually had his number, and when he called back, hence why he talked to Michael. It's like,
no cell phones.
Oh, no. Well, that's the other amazing how they got this together, which no social media, no cell phones, no nothing. So he contacted Michael Jackson because basically they said, okay, they're going to do this. And like, how do we put this together? There was, a yearly, the American Music Awards was happening in 3 weeks. And like, listen, if we can do this after that show, if we can get everyone from there, and they had a studio, like we don't have to pay for plane tickets, they don't have to pay for, they're already going to be there. So yeah, Michael Jackson came in and the two of them worked on a song. And yeah, so they got so many people. There was not arguments, but like, someone wanted Madonna, but then came down to Madonna versus Cyndi Lauper. Someone was a friend of Cyndi Lauper, and they're like, listen, I 100% know I can get her for a line. Bruce Springsteen actually was touring. He had his final show in Buffalo, New York. He flew. He was one of the few that kind of flew to California to be a part of this. So yeah, he left his show. He actually hit some snow. People didn't think he was going to make it. But the fact that, because Quincy Jones was asking Lionel Richie and people were like, they wanted to be a part of this. They kind of knew this is something big, and because these artists were asking them, they're like, okay, let's do this. So yeah, they had 3 weeks. So basically, now that they had the date and they were kind of getting all these artists and kind of explained the situation, they had 3 weeks to write the song, produce the song, and in one night record the song. Because they could not get these artists. Because the idea was they didn't want the artists like, all right, we'll talk to Michael first. He'll sing his song. They wanted everyone in that room singing the chorus, looking at each other. Because if you remember the video, they're all there. They're all there. Just you got Willie Nelson next to Diane Warwick or whatever. It's just it's a who's who in music that will never be duplicated today. I'm sorry, the amount of star power. Current star power. None of these were really has-beens for the most part. Lionel Richie was actually hosting the American Music Awards. He was host. He won 6 awards that night. So after that event, he went over. At the end of the night, when he comes home the next morning, because they ended, a lot of people left at 6, 7 in the morning. He went home, and his wife was asking, "Oh man, you did great at the Music Awards. How was it hosting?" He forgot everything that happened at the American. Like he forgot he won 6 awards because he was so in the moment of what was happening in this room. So yeah, and so they got all this footage of behind the scenes and them working together. And they even tell stories of people who they wanted Prince, and they had Sheila E., who was friends with them. She was part of it, And Prince didn't want to do it because he doesn't like crowds, which that's fine. But then, they're like, we have this one line. You're more than welcome to come. And he's like, well, I'll come in. I'll do my line and I'll play a guitar. He's like, no, you need to come in during this group. They're set. Like, so they denied Prince, like, his wishes. Like, this is how we're doing it. If you don't want to be part of it, fine. But this is how we're doing it. And it's amazing. I think before the start, after they all left the awards, Quincy Jones put a sign above the recording studio. First of all, there was no assistants, no one out. The only people allowed in the studio were the singers, the performers. So none of their assistants. But he basically said, leave your egos at the door. And he just put the paper there, just that. And it's amazing how these guys work together. Because yes, these are pop stars. This is when Michael Jackson was at his top. Mid 90s, early mid, yes, he had a huge career, but this was like right after through everything. And so the fact that he was big in part of it, but I was made, and the one part I laugh about is, God, who was it? Bob Dylan? Was it Bob Dylan?
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, yeah, because they're like, okay, for those who can hit these notes, do you sing, everyone else just kind of, and if you see videos, Bob Dylan looks like he is miserable. But when you watch him talk to, like, because when he sang his line, it was just like, he was really into it. He just knew he couldn't do a lot of those voices. Like, he knew. Same with Bruce Springsteen. Springsteen's like, he's like, I know I can't hit those high notes like that. So he kind of shut out. But Bob Dylan was on his own mind. But he was so behind this. Like, so when you watch this, he just looks so, when you see the video, he just looks like he's standing there swaying, not giving a shit. He really cared. So I kind of appreciate that. The other
That's great
tidbit that I love is the fact, like Springsteen said it. He's like, mid recording, they had a break, and he's like, I'm looking over there. He's like, Bruce Springsteen, the boss, is like, that's Bob fucking Dylan. Like, he was a fan, and they're all talking about how they're looking around the room, and then all of a sudden, they were signing each other's, like, music sheets. Fans of fans, and so, yeah, I get it. You think about the song, it's maybe a little cheesy. It raised at that time like $80 million. So that tells you again the impact. But just watching these pop stars, the celebrity, at their height, working together and actually trying to figure this out. Yeah, I will say there's a couple people that did walk out. One country star I don't know, because Stevie Wonder suggested something and he didn't like it. I don't know. He's like, I don't understand that, because I don't even know what happened. But so real quick before I get to my ranking, going back to Stevie Wonder. So yeah, Stevie Wonder comes in the night that they're recording the song, and he thought that was the night he was supposed to write the song with Lionel Richie. So he was like, wait, there's already a song. So he's like, he was a little upset, but we tried to reach you. I wanted to talk to you.
Yeah, hard back then.
Yeah. And since Prince backed out, Huey Lewis got his line. So Huey Lewis wasn't even going to have a line in the song also. So, but it's also the explanation why certain people got paired. Someone like, excuse me, God, what was his name? I can't even think of it. Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson is with an R&B singer. Those two styles do not mix and match, especially that time. They're two different personalities. And she's like, why I'm with this? But what Lionel Richie and Quincy Jones is, they listen to every singer, every song, basically their lines to their voices, and match them together. And like, this is why, because you guys' tones are the same. And they had everyone standing. So they listened. That's what they're doing for the 3 weeks. So how they made this one song, how they pinpointed, all right, this is where Bruce Springsteen's going to come in because we're on the low. He'll bring this up. So they, like, the wave of the song. It was fucking awesome. And again, I get people, again, joking kids nowadays, won't get why this song or these artists were big, like why this was such an important thing. I don't think social media now is different. You can splice together with something. It's just this moment. There's no, you said it, no cell phones. Everyone had to be reached by like fax machine or, regular phones. And they made it work in 3 weeks, one night to record. And they did it. So yeah, it's a very interesting documentary. I get that this is not everyone's cup of tea. So hence it's not really a musical, you don't really hear the full song to the end, but the certain parts. But it was just amazing. It was just amazing seeing how they put it together. And then at the end, Diana Ross, I think, was the last one to leave the studio. And Quincy Jones came to her and she was in tears. Like, is everything okay? She's like, I don't want this night to end. She's just looking again, all these, not just, people she respects, but people she's met for the first time, like a Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah.
So that's how important this moment was. And yes, the song did a lot. It raised a lot of money. I will admit it is a cheesy song. I might have sung it better, but but what it did, it did a lot. And yeah, so I will say I like the interactions of all these stars that I grew up listening to. But I can see why, like, if someone like my daughter's age watched this documentary, she might know a few, but like it won't resonate with her as much as it does with people like us. So, but the hard part is, where do I put this on my list, Soto?
It sounds very intriguing.
It is. I highly say anyone our age group or anyone that knows why about the song a little bit, anyone who loves music, 80s music especially, yeah, because again, it's basically how they put it together, and there is so much more footage that I did not realize. And the other thing is, none of them got paid. None of them got paid for this. None of them made a dime. Everything went to USA for Africa, Ethiopia. The interviews, the actual interviews they had. Lionel Richie, Bruce Springsteen, Kenny Loggins, Huey Lewis. Like they're all talking about this. There's also a cameraman one of the very few people who were allowed to be in the room, and he's like writing up his slip like the tech guys do. And Quincy Jones is like, "Oh, don't worry about that." And he's like, "No, everyone's not getting paid." And he's a fucking cameraman, and he's like, well, he's like, what the fuck am I going to say to Quincy Jones? He's like, well, I got a cool t-shirt and I met so many people. He's like, I got a story out of this. But it's like, you're in the top of the music industry. You're not like, listen, I want my $10 an hour, dude. Whatever. But yeah, he laughed about it. He's like, to be in that room in that moment, he's like, you can't, there's no price. So, but yes, where do I put this?
The ultimate question.
Yeah, again, this is, I mean, I kind of said this before, not a movie I'm probably going to watch again, but definitely a movie I enjoyed. It intrigued me. Oh, all right. All right. Back time. I feel this. I'm going to put this at 29. I'm going to put this above the Happy Time Murders underneath Ready or Not, because this was, like I said, if you like these stars, like I know you love Bruce Springsteen, like seeing him, but just seeing him because he's one of the people they interviewed, just seeing his recollection of this night, but also seeing him perform and, who just things like you would enjoy that story, you learn a bit. So there's just something for everyone. That's why this song worked. You had R&B, you had country, you had rock, you had this, you had that. And they made it work. Everyone got their line. And then I forgot Dan Aykroyd because of Blues Brothers. He was just sitting there in the back. To me, I'm like, because no offense, yes, I know the Blues Brothers are like, I don't consider Dan Aykroyd a musician. He's a comedic actor to me. I love him. But to see him back there just singing, I'm like, oh, but there's so many people who didn't even get lines that are global phenomenons. And the fact that they came just because they wanted to work with Quincy Jones, Richie, Michael Jackson, they wanted to support the cause. They're like, they call you, and they made it work in one night. And that was the most impressive. One of the biggest songs ever just done in one night, recorded in one night, which is friggin' amazing. So, but yeah, so this is one song I would say, I'm not saying go out and rush it for yourself. I know, but it's not, like I said, I would not call this a musical because it's not. They do play that song, clips of it, but that helps you know, but yeah, no, it's not like you're getting a huge catalog of songs here. So, but it was definitely very interesting. So,
Okay.
Greatest Night in Pop on Netflix.
So that's awesome.
Let's move on. I had to look up your second movie here because I never heard of it, and I saw a certain actor, and I laughed my ass off. So, I gotta know why. Why'd you go back to this? What happened? Tell me this. Tell me the story.
Well, so I turned on the old Amazon Prime, and I saw that there was a movie. This is like how all my bad movies start. I saw that there was a movie that was like #1. This is just like a couple days ago, and I said Jason Statham. So of course my curiosity has now been piqued. and it's like a working man, and I'm like, oh my god. And I read the synopsis, and it's he's a construction worker, right? But he also secretly used to be in, Black Ops.
Dun, dun,
So
dun.
kind of like the Beekeeper is what I thought to myself. I'm like, oh, it sounds very similar to the Beekeeper. Then I found out that it was directed by the director of the Beekeeper.
All
so,
right.
and so I had to now watch it. And so A Working Man starring Jason Statham follows around his character. He is a construction worker, and he's like a foreman, and he's also advertising Carhartt. So he's a big Carhartt advertising guy, and he's just doing his thing, just watching the construction site. Everything's all fine. He's left his life behind him, and then kind of funny for me to see in movies.
Okay.
Yeah, he works for this Hispanic family that owns the construction company. And the daughter is eventually, through a series of circumstances, she is taken. Right? Seen that movie?
Yeah, I've seen Taken.
Yeah. You've also seen John Wick too, which I'll get to as well. So what then tends to happen in these movies is Jason Statham leaves his regular life behind and goes back into his dark side, his Black Ops side, because he needs to find, this girl that he said he would always have her back. And so, like most Jason Statham movies, which to me, as I said out loud while I was watching this movie, movies are just an excuse. You just write an excuse, and then you're like, this is why Jason Statham is now going to kick everybody's ass. So you're just waiting for, like, that's like this, all the setup is like, what do we have to write as a movie so that Jason Statham, who plays himself, he doesn't really have any range, can just go and whoop everybody's ass. And it is like a Russian mob that takes this girl, right? And he has to go and use his contacts and everything, and he deals with Russians and he kills Russians. So much violence in this movie. Jason Statham absolutely kills motherfuckers in this movie.
Okay.
So yeah, I just, again, I was intrigued by the beekeeper, the call of the beekeeper, and I thought that A Working Man would kind of be along that same thing. And let me tell you, yeah, for the most part, it was pretty cool. I mean, I knew what I was getting into. I knew, like I said, that he's going to be killing people or at least beating them down. And so that was fine. And it worked. And there was a plot. The only problem really with this movie was that it was like slightly over 2 hours. And this idea and concept should really only be 90 minutes. Like,
Agree.
you had me at the description. I'm already knowing this is going to be stupid. I'm buying into that. So, like, don't overstay your welcome. And the second to third act kind of vibe really just had no reason being as long as it was. Like, sorry, spoiler alert, but the girl ends up escaping multiple times. But it's really so, like, it really just felt like because they had to stretch out the movie. And so the way that she escaped and everything, and the reason that she wasn't killed was like really kind of unbelievable. But it was so that Jason Statham could kick ass. And you know what? In this entire movie, he kicked ass. But the one difference between this and The Beekeeper, by the way, I think this is the third David Ayer movie that I've seen this year. The other one was End of Watch. So I'm going to take a break from this guy. But the difference between Beekeeper and A Working Man was that Beekeeper was way funnier. Regardless of the lack of bees that were used for him to kill people, which I would have loved, I laughed a lot more with the Beekeeper than I did with this one. I mean, I laughed within the first like few minutes because obviously how stupid the concept is and how he's just advertising Carhartt and he's such an American working man. But overall, it was just like, it just dragged. And so it was not as entertaining as the Beekeeper was.
Okay. I mean, it is Jason Statham, but yeah, no, I mean, I try to remember the big.
Like, what's wrong? But like when you play Rocket League or whatever, right? Like, you know what you're getting. Your mindset is like, I'm going to play a video game that does this, right? Like,
correct.
That's what I think too when I watch these two. I'm not expecting Jason Statham movies to change my fucking outlook on reality. I'm just putting it in there to be like, oh, okay, cool. This is a dumbass movie. It doesn't require me to fucking really engage. All I ask sometimes in these movies is just to giggle a little bit. If you don't make me giggle that much, then I feel like I've wasted my time.
So the question is, and I kind of know that where it's going under, but a working man, Jason Statham, your second Jason Statham movie, I think, because it's only the two, and your third from this director. As you're looking at this long ass list, where is this movie gonna go? Because while you're looking at this, I'll talk a little bit. Again, when you tell me the movies, I kind of just start getting pictures and thumbnails ready because it's like I just want to get ahead of the game. And all I see is Jason Statham looking down. I'm like, oh, we got another one of these kind of movies. Like I didn't even look into it. I'm like, I gotta know why he went back to this
genre unto itself. It's its own fucking genre. You know exactly what you're getting into when you open up a Jason Statham movie. I'll tell you what, dude, he works.
He does.
He works.
He does.
This is his job. I happen to watch his job when I'm bored, but this is his job. Just like Nicolas Cage, like we talked about, Nicolas Cage is just working. Like, who am I to tell Nicolas Cage like how he should work? Like, it's my choice whether or not I decide to watch his crap.
So,
working man.
Working man. But anyway, we've been talking video games. I'm going to throw this out there real quick because I know we got a lot of movies to talk about. But I'm laughing because one of these days, I'm going to have to get you back on Dead by Daylight. And I'm going to have to play as Nick Cage. And we'll just talk and make fun of Nick Cage movies this whole time as you're escaping the killer. I'll leave it at that. I think that would be, I know. But anyhow, we got other games to get to. But this is the movie podcast. So yes, where are we putting A Working Man on your list?
I'll tell you what. What
are you going to tell me?
It feels good. This feels right. Feels right.
Oh, it feels right. Maybe not feels good, but feels right. Okay.
Feels right. Feels like right where it should be. Actually, no, now that I think about it and I expand. Yeah. Ooh, it's going lower, Chad.
We've fallen. It's going below End of Watch. That's where, now that you told me the directors are the same, how low are we going to?
Yeah, it's yeah, it's gonna go under The Brutalist. This is gonna be number 62.
All right, so just right above End of Watch. Nice little back-to-back movies there. Okay.
David Ayer, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're trying to do. I think he directed that one with Denzel and Ethan Hawke.
Oh, Training Day?
Training Day.
Oh, I love Training Day. That was a good movie.
That was his big debut, like David Ayer, but he hasn't been able to reach that. Yeah, A Working Man. He's a working man, Chad, because he wears Carhartt. It's people's butts in Carhartt.
Okay.
And that's that he's wearing the uniform of the blue collar man from England.
Oh, that's too funny. Too fucking funny. So Soto,
Jason, will I watch another Jason Statham movie?
I think you should. I think this needs to be a trilogy. I think we got to find trilogy of movies. It feels like, things come in 3. Jason Statham movies need to come in 3. You've watched 3 Ryan Gosling movies. I don't even know if that number's correct. I'm making that stat up. But we'll
I've watched 2 at least. I'd have to double check, but I know the number's 2.
Yeah. You got about 20 more movies to go. So it's possible. We're kind of spooky season, so that could go away from your Jason Statham. We're not there yet. Even though your next 2.
Well, we're kind of there. We're kind of you'll see. You'll see. We're kind of there, but we'll see.
But before
we'll talk about that,
we will. But Soto, I've done something for the first time this year. You've actually done it once. This is the first time I've done it.
Oh.
I went to the theaters. I went to the movies.
Shit, that's right.
I went to the movie. So I'm gonna throw this out there real quick. I saw the new movie, the Long Walk, based on the Stephen King film. Stephen King book, which was written back in 1979. It was under a pseudonym, Richard Bachman. Right, year after I was. So yeah, in between us. So this is an older book. Let me explain why I saw this. First of all, my wife, huge Stephen King fan. She's read a lot of his books. Some have been good, some have been shit. She kind of jokes, he does have some good ones, but a lot of his books, he has this great concept, great story. He just doesn't know how to end it. And you hear that from a lot of people who read a lot of Stephen King books. Like, he just does not, all of a sudden it ends and you're like, oh, okay. So
a lot of things are like that.
No, I know, but see, maybe he was just, hopefully he's in a better place, but he was just, too drunk or on drugs at the time. So, but anyhow, so yes, when we saw trailers to this, and I kind of, she's like, I want to go see that, and I'm like, you want to see that in theaters? We can make it a date night. She's like, yeah. So we went to see The Long Walk. Now, let me give you a little bit about the premise, and we're gonna go talk about this. So yeah, I think a lot of people who kind of know this movie, like, how the fuck do you make this in the movie? So first of all, this movie takes place fictionally. There's no real set timeline. It is kind of current a little bit, but the fact that it's 79, you don't know. But basically, there's America just went through a second civil war, and it just basically split our country to the point where military is in complete control. So this is basically almost like 20 years later, and we find out that there's this thing that they call the Long Walk. Now, in the book, I think it's 100 people. I don't know much about the book, and this is the only thing. She hasn't read this book yet. She's actually reading it right now, so I can't go back and forth the differences. But I'm only here to talk about the movie anyways. But yeah, 50 boys sign up, teenage guys. I mean, from I think 16 to 8, take, in this thing called the Long Walk. And what it is, first of all, you can't go below 3 miles per hour. You can, but you get a strike. 3 strikes and you're out. Basically means they're going to shoot you in the fucking face. You can take away it if you go a mile without getting a strike, you lose a strike. So, if you, go like 2.5, but the next mile you stay at 3, you get a one of your strikes are gone. So this is very good for the plot point, because it's like, man, people are going to get tired quick, or, no, you can lose strikes. If you go off on the side of the road, you get instantly killed. So you can't do any of that. Obviously, if you attack any of the military people, you get instantly killed. Now, the winner, one from each state, randomly drawn, but so many people sign up for the lottery because the winner, first of all, basically gets shitloads of money. But the more important thing is, and this is the weird part, they get one wish. Basically, they can wish for anything, no matter how lucrative, so it's basically, you hear the ideas of, you already have enough money, you can buy all this stuff. What's something that money can't buy? What's something you want? So now I'm going to kind of get into the story a little bit. So yeah, don't go under 3 miles per hour. These guys, walk and walk. So I didn't realize some of the stars. I shouldn't say stars, but who starred in this movie? First of all, the main guy was played by this guy, Cooper Hoffman. I've never recognized him, but he's Philip Seymour Hoffman's son. This is his first really big role, and I didn't even know that until I researched this a little bit. I was like, oh, and then even Jill was like, oh yeah, he does look like him. And his backstory is, his character's backstory is, his mom dropped him off, doesn't want him to do this, but he wants to make something better. But you find out why he's doing this. He doesn't give a shit about the money. He wants that one wish, because we find out that the military guy that runs this, I hate to say competition, but this thing, who's actually played by Mark Hamill, by the way, did not fucking recognize him at first. I'm like, how the fuck did I not recognize Mark Hamill? I think I was just too into it. He's not in a lot of scenes, and he's got a very scruff voice. He's not talking like Mark Hamill. But you find out this guy, Ray's backstory. Now, we just went through the Second Civil War. They've taken everything we talked about, the music media. There's no movies, Soto. There's no music. There's nothing. It's been taken away by the government. You find out, weirdly enough, like his mom sings him a lullaby. You don't catch it at first until later. The three of them are in the house with the dad, and he has like a secret stash where he's been she's singing, Paradise City, Guns and fucking Roses. Wow. But she's doing it in a very low, so you don't catch it then when you're like, oh my God, that's why. But anyhow, the military finds out that he's been doing this, like he has, been sharing basically music, and they come and say, do you basically reject this idea or support the military, or and he's like, no, I believe in free will, and he gets shot. So you find out that Ray, because his father has died, his one wish, he's like, I want to ask for that carbine right there, and I'm going to shoot the major in the fucking face on live TV. He wants change. He's like, that's how I'm going to change the world. He's like, it's just what he doesn't even care what happens to him after. He's like, if I shoot the major, maybe, and that's his idea. But the big thing sort of is just, you got these 50 kids and they know only one of them can make it. You basically walk until one person's left. And you can, I think the book would do a better job because you have time to develop a lot of these characters, and because they kind of rush through. Like there's one kid in the beginning, he's kind of a dick. He's egging on a kid. He's like, oh, just being not like trying to beat him up, just making fun of him, and pushes his buttons, and the guy goes to swing at him. He misses. And then he's like, oh, you're such a pussy. And he goes to swing again, but he trips, falls on the asphalt, basically scrapes his face. Which now, this movie's brutal. These gun kills are fucking legit. Like, they're shocking because I did not expect just half a guy's face being blown off. Like, you're seeing the shit.
Damn.
But this guy who falls face first can't get back up and can't get back up to speed in his 3 warnings. Because, if you get a warning that you're under 3 miles per hour, you got 10 seconds to get back up to speed. If not, you get a second warning and then third warning. And then he dies. And so this guy's now like, he was being a dick. He just realized because of him and him egging him on, he killed him. And at first you think he's becoming a villain, but really he's just trying to cope with the idea that, and he's apologetic. Because these guys that are, as people are dying, kind of have become friends, but these are basically, for lack of it, temporary friends because they know one. So I think a lot of these side characters, reading the book, you're going to get better backstories because you can tell from the start of this movie which two. The two that end up are close. And you've kind of seen it. You basically know it's going to go a certain way, one of like a few. You just don't know how or why. So, but I will say the two main guys, their budding friendship, how they get each other through, their stories, make this movie. Cooper Hoffman was great. The guy that plays his friend, I don't even recognize him. He reminds me of Chadwick Boseman in a way, just the way he carries himself. Like, those two are the stars of this. They carry this film. I think this could have been better with a little bit more side character work. Maybe also going into a little bit more of why the Civil War happened. Like, I kind of wanted a little bit more backstory. I get it. They kind of just jumped into this event, but I felt like there's so much missing beforehand. Like, all right, help me explain this. Or again, if you read the book, maybe you get those extra little bits. But as far as this movie, it just wasn't there. But so I tell you this, like, you're in it, the realism of those kills. I will tell you one thing: one guy needs to take a shit, and he's willing to risk that. The basically a warning. I didn't. Dude, the last thing I expected was watching a guy shit. Like, you're seeing shit come out. I mean, obviously I know it's a special effects, but seriously, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, all right, I was okay with guys' half brains being blown out, saying some of the shit that's happened, but it's just all of a sudden a couple times, like, they're literally just taking shits in the middle of the road, and it's happened. I'm like, okay, they're really showing it, but then they're joking because like one of the guys who had to do it, they're like, listen, we love you. Can you just go over there for like a half a mile or a half an hour? You're like, you're smelling right. So, but it's that budding friendship that carries this. Because it's new, I don't want to spoil it. I just felt like the ending was abrupt, and not abrupt, but just like it ended, and you're like, okay, something that makes you maybe think. We actually discussed the ending a little bit because Jill was like, what exactly? And I gave my interpretation. Whether or not that's right or not, I don't know. It just is what made sense to me. I think this is not everyone's cup of tea. Now, we joked about this. This is a premise I love. Like, why the fuck are they doing this? What's going on? Outside of these two, I just would have liked to know more. Actually, the funny thing also, I didn't realize one of the guys side guys was played by Ben Wong, who played the new Karate Kid with Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio. I'm like, all right, so he went to this, and now, like Karate Kid, a very good guy, and in this one he kind of plays the nerd. His wish, he's like, I want 10 naked ladies. And me and Jill started laughing. They're all like, you could buy 10 naked ladies with the money you get. He's like, I don't want to pay for women, that's gross. So it's that kind of level of, but we're just laughing, and they're like, well, if you don't buy them, someone still has to pay for them to spend the night with you. And he's like, I don't care, I just want 10 naked ladies. But they all have, like, that's the big thing, like, what's the one wish you would wish for? If you could have anything, they told backstories of past people. One guy wished for an elephant. They got that a past winter, a fucking elephant. So you kind of hear what has happened, but again, they're not showing much of what's going on in the outside world. I don't get backstories much of a lot of these characters outside the main two, and I think because this is under 2 hours. This is a movie I felt like. I know you just said, hey, Jason Statham, this could have been a 90-minute film. I felt like this movie would have helped so much more with an extra 30 minutes. I think it would have done a lot of better. Yeah, I would have been in it. I did enjoy this for what it was. My opinion is I think this could have been better. Because I know it's not doing well in theaters, which I can understand. This is not everyone's cup of tea.
Really?
It is I think it's made only 16, I'm looking it up now, 16 million. It's only a 20 million budget, so it's not like, it wasn't a high budget. And I will say a little of the camera work at times, I don't want to say I got queasy, but because they're walking, there's a little bobbing motion. So if you get motion sickness or anything like that, some parts might get to you more so than the blood, the kills. Because, yeah, like I said, that camera work was weird. But I think it did help to the realism of the film. Not realism, but make the film feel that what's going on a little bit more realistic. So it was good. It's just, I don't know. Personally, I think I would have, not that it seemed predictable, but you've seen enough movies, Soto, where you can tell, okay, either this is going to happen or this, or maybe this. Like, you can kind of tell it's going to go down one of three. Like, there's not a wide variety of paths. Some parts still shocked me. Like, even some of the kills, though I know it's coming, I was like, oh, again, because they show some of it, and they do show shit. Like, if someone would have told me that actor really shit on the middle of the road and he didn't care, I would believe it. It was well, but I was kind of grossed out by it. I was like, what the fuck? One guy turns around to piss, like, okay, because they don't show the bottom half, obviously. Like, sure. All right, he's got some bottom. It's a hilarious moment. He's like, get away, stay away from the wind. And but yeah, the shit parts, like, I know there's probably some kind of obvious special effects, but the way it came out and the way they showed it, I'm like, man, that's as close to real as real gets.
Mm-hmm. That's some real shit.
Yes. All right, so where do I put this? This is my 80th movie.
Wow.
I know. 80th.
80 movies. Most movies that I think I've seen since Blockbuster. That's over 10 years.
Yeah.
Like 14, 15 years.
All right. Like I said, I did like it. I just, all right, this feels right in the moment. Because again, I don't want to shit, literally, talk about shit again. I don't want to shit on this movie because there is a lot to it. And we've seen these kind of movies, kind of similar to Hunger Games, the way the world's gone and why these competitions that are quote unquote important. And yeah, you do learn more about these characters, but they're just so quick. I just wish there was more, but it was still good. It was well acted. And again, the main two stars are fucking good. I think they'll be around a while, hopefully. But Soto, I think I'm going to put this at 32. I think I'm going to put it right above Bad Words, a little under An Affair to Remember. I'm kind of in that area. I will be honest, I don't think I'll see this again. But I will talk to my wife about the book if I don't ever get around to reading it, because I am curious about the differences. Because again, this was written in 1979. They did update it a couple things, but for the most part, like, I had a hard time. Like, when does this take place? Until the Paradise City thing came up, I was like, is this 60s? Is this today? Like, I don't know, because all you knew is there's this war, which, and they don't really explain how that war happened. But right now, the way things are going, who knows? So yeah, 32 seems good. I'll leave it at that. This could change, but right now that's a good film. I have no need to see this film again. But I am curious about the book. I want to see the differences and maybe what more they go into this. So, Soto, we've been doing this for a while. We just got 5 films down, 3 more to go. But we talked about it being not being spooky season yet. You kind of started a little early.
I'm always starting early when it comes to spooky season.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about your third film. We're going to save your fourth film for number 150. I know you can almost do these back to back, but I already wrote in my note.
Pretty much can.
You can. Well, let's break it. Let's give you the breakup. What is the next film that you saw?
So, we've talked about James Wan a lot on this podcast and what he's done for horror. I think he directed Saw, right, as well.
Correct. That's kind of where I think that was his big break. That is his first hit.
Yeah, and he pretty much owns horror right now. And so the Insidious series, I think I watched the first one last year in our trial run of this, and then I watched Insidious 2 this year. And, I've been looking for where it would be free, as always. And it's always like parts of it are free, but not like in order. Does that make sense?
Correct.
And so I've been trying to like watch this series in order because you texted me the other day and you're like, oh my God, there's a 6th one. Like after I told you I had watched this one. And I was like, I don't even know that there was a 5th one. But then I didn't realize that The Last Key and The Red Door were like 4 and 5 because it went away from the numbering like thing that it was doing. But I just Insidious to me it's a horror movie. We've talked about it. It doesn't do anything that is nothing that I haven't seen before. But it does it pretty well. I mean, Insidious is pretty much centered around jump scares. Now, jump scares are kind of controversial when it comes to horror movies because some people feel that it's a cheap way to get like a thrill, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like cheap heat, like in wrestling. But when it's done well, but there is a genre for jump scares, right? We've seen obviously Terrifier, which is just fucking body gore or whatever the fuck you want to call that. But this is just like, you know what, things are going to pop up, they're going to be scary, and it's going to be in an air, it's going to have enough lore to get you by. And I find these movies to be very digestible. And so with that being said, I've been trying to like watch them in order. I'd seen 1 and 2, and I saw 3 was free. And so I said, fuck it, I'm going to give it a whirl. And with Insidious 3, it does something that I don't really see in a lot of horror franchises, or at least I don't remember. And you can correct me with any examples you have. But like 1 and 2 had a storyline that was going, and then number 3 goes back in time. And then it tells a story from the medium, her name is Elise, that's helping the family deal with their, demon issues. And all of a sudden we see kind of like backstory on Elise and a specific case that she has and how she deals with that. And I won't go into the details of like the case or anything, but it's a case. She's a medium. She's trying to like, she goes into the other, which is called the further, like the other side. And she helps people with issues with that. And the story for Insidious 3 revolves around a young girl who just lost her mom. And innocently, she tries to contact her mom. But, of course, she summons demons. And, whatever. It's a perfectly fine watch. It's digestible. It doesn't ask a lot out of me. I just sit down. It's like I can kind of predict where the jump scares are. In fact, it's kind of like a fun game to see if I can predict where the jump scares are going to be, or if I can just like in the moment be like, understand that this is a movie that's trying to scare me and jump at me, which we all know how I feel about that when it comes to video games. It's a much different vibe. But with movies, I don't really get scared. With a controller in my hand, as you have seen a million times and you will see again, like that's a whole totally different story. And so I just thought, again, it was a horror movie that did what it needed to do. It was easy to fucking understand. It's easy to follow along. It had good characters in it. And then it wrapped up. And it was to me, it was an okay entry, but it's very rare for, this movie has like a 6th movie coming out. And it's spending time in 2 of those movies going back in time. Which I understand, like the side character is very interesting, and it basically gives a background to the lore of how she met her coworkers who are actually oddly enough, in like a paranormal like investigation team. So that was kind of funny. And there was like a little bit of what is it called, fan service. Yeah, but it was okay. It was okay. I'm going to continue watching it, but when I watch Insidious, I know that I'm watching like a saga, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, the only thing I can somewhat compare it to, and I don't think it's as good as the Insidious movies. I mean, maybe personal preference to people. Paranormal Activity. You remember the first one came out, people were blown away. Yeah. Second one came out, kind of the other. Third one was actually a prequel because the first two were like the sisters, both one sister, the other, and how. So there was that, and then the fourth one I kind of remember and I lost track after the. I mean, I should, same idea, but yeah, they really go way overboard and add so much more, and you're just like, oh, really? I just like what was simple, but. Yeah, no, Insidious, kind of like the Conjuring universe. We've talked about this too. Like, I've not seen it. I've not watched too much horror recently. Series, like, Terrifier might be the close because I saw 1 and 2, and I know we're going to see 3 most likely next month, which we'll get to later. So I've always been intrigued, but yeah, I don't know too many like this. And once you get sucked in, though, you're kind of, even though you hear, like you meant, we're going to talk about a fourth one, spoiler alert, in a little bit, but like the fifth and the sixth, you're like, I've kind of put in my time. I got to see where this goes, where I hear like when we 4, they are doing it. Terrifier 4 is the last. Like the director said that, yeah, he's just like, this is the end, blah, blah, blah.
I don't want to watch any more of those movies. I don't.
Oh, we'll get to 4. We'll get to 3 soon. But yeah, so I guess it's funny because I'm looking where Insidious Chapter 2 falls on your list, and I don't know where the first one would go because obviously, like you said, but the question is, how far down or maybe up? I don't know. Where does Chapter 3 compare to Chapter 2?
I didn't hate this movie because, like, I do like this side character, this character at least, and I thought it was kind of cool to focus on her and then focus on her employees, which are really funny too. So I'm gonna call this genre soft horror. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's easy to watch, and it's not like requiring you to use your brain really a lot. It's got a good enough lore, and you followed along, and you're right. You're kind of already invested. Does that make that a good movie, though?
Well, that's your opinion.
I mean,
you don't have to think about the rest of us, but your opinion is what matters for your list.
I mean, I enjoyed it more than the Pope's Exorcist, that's for sure. So that's the floor, right? Pope's Exorcist was just bad. I didn't like that movie at all. But I'd have to put it. I mean, I'd say I enjoyed this more than Sing.
Okay, we're getting higher.
But I wouldn't put it higher than that. So probably right there, Insidious Chapter 3.
So your new number 53? 53? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For now, we know.
Yeah. Things change.
I liked it. I didn't think this was bad. As we always say, it had a beginning, it had a middle, and it had an end. It set the rules at the beginning, it followed them all the way throughout the movie, and then there was a resolution. Sometimes that's all I need. Sometimes that's all I'm asking for. That's it. I'm not asking for anything more fancy than that. Sometimes. Like, yes, there are those times where I'm like, I'm going to really get into something that's going to be provocative and make me think, right? Mm-hmm. But that's not, like, 98% of the time I'm going to watch something that I can shut my brain off to, so.
Okay.
It's a perfectly fine movie.
Perfectly fine is fine. But Soda, you just mentioned it had a beginning, it had a middle, and it had an end.
Oh my God, yes.
I want to use this concept for my next. So here's why. All right, this is going to be. So I did get a fourth movie, and we both did, and I forget where I was looking. And again, no to be September. And I saw this picture and this premise, and they, I think it might have been Netflix. I could be wrong, but you know how sometimes when you just put your cursor or something, just like over, it just plays like a quick trailer. And I saw this, and I'm like, holy shit, that's Mel Gibson. I'm like, all right, I'm interested. and I'm going to explain a little bit. So yes, I actually saw a 2022 movie called On the Line. Now this does star Mel Gibson, and I'm going to say I'm breaking this down into 3 parts: the beginning, the middle, and the end. And this is a what to do and what not to do. This is me being. Now I didn't even go to college for writing, but this is how you properly should or should not write a film. And I'm going to explain this. So first of all, let me give you the quick premise. Mel Gibson plays a late night, overnight, kind of a shock radio host. Like he basically takes calls, but he'll say whatever. It doesn't matter. You ask him any questions, sex, work, whatever. So this is one night he comes to the radio station and he has a new board operator whose name is Dylan. His co-host is female named Sam. And so he comes in, his boss is telling him, talking about ratings. He's like, blah, 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 typical, just Mel Gibson just being grumpy old man at first. You're kind of getting the feel what this movie is. And so he goes live, and I'm going to jump to that. So, yeah, so he goes live, and he's talking to Dylan, the new guy, and they're having a little back and forth, and he brings up it's his birthday. He's like, well, it's my birthday, right? And he's like, no, I didn't. He's like, you come to a new show, you know who I am, you're a big fan of mine. He's like, you don't even say, and then he's like, fuck you, just go. Just leave the studio. I don't even want to look at you anymore. And Dylan thinks it's a joke. He's like, no, seriously, I want you to leave now. And Dylan starts walking away, and his co-host Sam's looking at him, and she's like, it's his first day. You got to be that mean. Come on, tell him it's a prank. And Mel Gibson, who his name is Elvis. His name is fucking Elvis in this movie. But anyhow, he's like, come back, Dylan. I'm just joking, blah, blah. So that kind of gives you, Dylan's like, okay, haha, jokes on the new guy. So, that's the kind of thing they do, and so they're taking calls. And, some of it, again, quick, you should leave his ass, fireball, you're sleeping with the, all that kind of stuff. And then he gets a random call who's like, I'm going to do something. I don't want to do it, but there's just no, I need to end this. They think it's a suicide. And he hangs up, and Elvis is a little worried. He looks at co-host like, try and get him back on the line. Should we call the police? I'm like, let's just see what we can do, find out where he's at, blah, blah, blah. So night goes on, takes a few more. That phone call calls back. And what happens is, the guy's just like, yeah, I'm here in Pasadena. And, what Mel Gibson finds out is this guy's at his house. He's basically broken in his house. He's like, yeah, I just fed these 2 Dobermans some meat with, and he's just like, and the guy breaks into the house and basically holds his wife and daughter hostage. And so they're like, call the cops. They're like, I'm going to shoot him. And they're like, no, just don't. And he's like, you ruined my life. You did the. So this premise, now hence writing 101. I'm intrigued. This story starts off good. It gets me.
I'm intrigued right now.
It is very, I'm like, okay. And I'm going to say this, Soto. Mel Gibson, I know he's not crazy. Going? This, I made me remember why Mel Gibson's a fucking good actor. And so, as the night, as this is going on, he's trying to talk to him, like call the cops, he's blah, blah, blah. And the guy fires a shot, and then Mel Gibson freezes. He's like, you need to listen to me. You're going to have to fix your wall, but next one might hit one of you, and obviously the wife, the daughter gets on the line. Daddy, I'm scared. He's like, so come to find out, this, so that, the guy on the other end, he's talking. He's like, well, what happened to so and so? You're sleeping with your co-host, right? And he's like, they're looking at each other and they're like, we're not having an affair. He's like, admit you're having an affair, So he's basically admitting things that aren't true. And he's like, yeah, do you remember so and so? She used to be your former. And he's like, well, yeah, she was my switchboard operator before. She left. He's like, yeah, and after she left, you made fun of her weight. You made fun of this on air. You did this. She, just couldn't take it anymore. She had an image problem. And she killed herself. And he's like, do you remember me? He's like, I guess he worked security. So he was like a former security guard, but he's like, you never took time to say hi. You kind of just always came by, nodded, blah, blah, blah. So there's that. So now we're building, okay, this guy's a little bit crazy, but his girlfriend killed herself because basically I'm intrigued. So he's like, I want you to suffer like she suffered. I want you to go to the roof. So he takes a wireless mic. He goes up to the roof, and like his whole thing, like his team, like just don't, just wait for the cops. It's like, what? He's like, I want you to jump. he's like, my girlfriend, after you did all that, jumped from a 5-story building and killed herself. I want you. You want your family to live? You jump now. And he's like, I can't, because he's obviously, it's one thing, but he's like, Dylan, if he doesn't jump in the next 30 seconds, I want you to push him off, or I will shoot these two and it'll be your fault. So obviously the new guy's like, what the fuck? And so Mel Gibbs, he's like, hold on. He's like, I'm jumping. So he takes off the headset, and then they do a weird camera angle, but you find out that he didn't jump. He jumped to the side, and he's just telling everyone to be quiet. And the guy's like, Dylan, did he jump? And Dylan's like, kind of nervous, like, yeah, no. He's like, he jumped. He's like, I need proof. I need to see a dead body. And he's like, well, you can't really see it from here. He's trying to keep him online. And then a drone comes up. He's like, oh, I don't see a body. Dylan, you lied to me. He's like, why the fuck would you do that, Dylan? And then you hear bang, basically 2 shots, and then silence. Everything's dead. And basically Mel Gibson is trying to now leave the studio and go to his house. The co-host's like, Dylan, go with him. And as they're going through the studio, the main thing, Dylan grabs, Mel Gibson's like, hold on, the police want to talk to you. They're at your house now. And and the police are like, listen, we're at your house. No one's here. Like, your dogs are fine. Your wife and daughter aren't here, but no one's in the house. And then you hear like the laughter. Like, he's like, do you think I would really do that right now? So first third, right there, very intriguing. Yeah. I was like, holy shit, where's this going now? Because I'm remembering Payback. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm into it. So you find out that there's going to be some spoilers, Toto, because I don't want you to see this movie. So first third, if you write, this is how you write. You create your characters, you create, good chemistry, you create something that's, all right, what's going to happen? Everything is perfect. Then you find out, basically he admits that he's somewhere in the radio station. And this is where the second third falls so off the rails. Because then it becomes a Scooby-Doo. Oh, is he in this room? Oh, he must be in the security room. He's seen us on camera. Oh, no, he must be here. And all they're doing is going room to room and can't find this guy. And all I'm thinking, like, what the fuck's going on? And mind you, Soto, I forgot to mention, as they left, they find out that the whole place is bombed. So basically, no one can leave now, and police can't come in. There's actually a tense scene because they killed one of the security guards, and the guy did to get in. And Mel Gibson is holding a bat. The other guy is holding like a switchblade. And then the police are on the other side of the door. Like one policeman saying, freeze, just, drop your weapons. Dead body in front of him. This is actually a hilarious scene. Sad, but hilarious. And they're like, don't come in. He's like, I'm coming. He's like, there's a bomb, blah, blah. Don't shoot, please. We got to do this. And then he gets a call from like the police station's like, just stand back. Everything's everything's being investigated. Just do not go in the building, just stay outside, until more help, units arrive. But it was just hilarious because you just see Mel Gibson. It was so cheesy. And that's how the second, third went. It's just like, oh, and the guy's like, if someone were to play you in a movie, who would play you? Tom Cruise? And Mel Gibson's like, this would make a fucking bad movie. I'm like, oh my God, this is not how you break the fourth wall. This is so stupid. I lost complete interest. But I'm like, I'm in this ride. So that's how this whole thing goes. So yeah, so him and Dylan are trying to find whatever. And they find out that he's now back where kind of the radio, the host is supposed to talk. Mind you, all this is actually going on air. Like he has like everything is, and fans are like, like, oh my God, call the police. What's going on? This, blah, blah, blah. You're like, why aren't the police there yet? What's going, so all this is on air. But yeah, so he's on the main mic and he's got like that, kind of like a button. He's like, listen, this is a dead switch. If I let go, this whole place goes boom. And, he's like, and your family's here and they got like bombs attached to them. And then, so the SWAT team finds the family, and basically they agree to take the vest off the mother and daughter, and Mel Gibson's like, just put the vest on me. Everyone else just go. Just me and you. You can your issues with me, not any of them. And so they're like, he's like, okay. The killer's like, okay. So the SWAT guy comes in with the vest. Now, Soto, here's where I start thinking logically. Would a policeman or a SWAT man bring the bomb vest into the studio? Wouldn't they just say, fuck it, take it out of the building? He's like, we saved, so anyhow, what happens is, and then the killer's like, he kind of looks, he's like, no, put it on Dylan. He fucked up. And so they put the vest on Dylan, and he's like, the guy that's walking is like, I'm so sorry. Just. And then all of a sudden, the killer lets go of the button. Dylan freaks out. The whole thing, Soto, is a fucking prank on Dylan. It's just a prank. They went through the whole thing. They all start laughing. Mel Gibson, everyone's laughing. Dylan's in shock, and he's like, and then he's on here. It's like, yeah, we called the PD. They knew about this. Nothing serious is happening. This has all been one big joke. And then so Dylan's just obviously in shock because obviously he thought his wife and daughter died. That didn't happen. He had all this, and he starts going back, and they put in mics like, how do you feel? This and that. There's this big reveal. And Dylan slips, falls down like these stairs, and basically hits his head, breaks it against the pipe, and dies. And so everyone's shocked. So now it's the next morning. His boss. Now again, I'm spoiling this film. Now we're gonna get in. This is the final third, and now you're gonna. What happens is the police are there. And he gives his testimony, and they're like, "Listen, journalists are upfront, go out back," and he does. And his boss is like, "I told you not to do these fucking pranks. There's just no one's watching this and that." And he's like, "I will never do it." And she's like, "You're right. You're off air." And he's like, "I got to go home." And she's like, "Let me give you a drive. Let me drive you." The journalists are by the car. He's like, and as he does, they hear around this radio station. They're talking about what's going on there. And then they're like, and by the way, Elvis, happy birthday. And the driver happens to be Dylan. So it was like a reverse dumbass prank that they played on him because it was his fucking birthday. And everyone's in on the joke. No one dies. But now, Soto, it's just like, this is where you give us the twist. It's so dumb. But here's the thing. As I said, this whole thing's a setup, correct? Like Dylan, everyone's in on it. The joke is on Mel Gibson. There's a scene where his co-host is trying to rush to an elevator to get the mic down the elevator so he can get back on the line so the killer, doesn't kill his family. I'm like, well, technically, she's in on the joke. So why would they show, because they're separated. There's no need for her to run, outside of like they thought of a cool, so-called cool twist. But they didn't backtrack to make that twist work. So when you start breaking, and this is where the third part, right? Like, if you're going to put a twist, go ahead. That's fine. As long as it works.
Sure.
But look at your whole story to make sure, because again, if everyone's in on it, there's no need, because she's basically trying to find like the wireless mic. She's like, I'm sending it down the elevator now. But she would have had that prepared. She wouldn't have ran. They would have been like, hee, let me put it down. Like,
yeah, of course.
But no. The scene is, so there's so many scenes when you rethink, like, well, they're separated. Why would she or these other people be doing this? Because the joke, even though it's on him or on Dylan, like, they weren't even there. So first third, fucking awesome. I was in it. I was happy. I was like, oh, this is a thriller. I'm like, and I was thinking about the movie Payback, where they kidnap him. He's like, I'm like, because when they did the two shots and he's about to leave and like I'm like, holy shit, they killed him. And I'm like, no, but I'm like, where, what? And I'm like, okay, that makes sense, but then it went all Scooby-Doo, the worst twist ever. And it took me out of the movie. So yeah, first third, you want to learn how to write a thriller? Watch On the Line. You want to watch a dumbass Scooby-Doo caper? Watch the second third. If you want to learn how to do your twist properly, watch the end and then rewatch the movie and fix your problems. This was shit, Soto. And I've read some reviews, and they even said, like, Mel Gibson's, they even said the first half's decent. I'm like, I agree. I was in it. This is great. Like, what the fuck's happening? You're just trying to figure it out. And then, the fact that it was a prank, but then a backwards second prank because it's just a birthday thing and no one died, nothing happened, this and that. I'm like, they were like, we got a new guy, but we hired this guy because he knows how to fall downstairs, so he's a stunt man. Then I'm like, well, what happened to the new switchboard operator? So I spoiled the whole movie. I didn't care because I want to save you from this, but that's my point. This movie started because you're intrigued. If I would have ended this film this review at the first half, you'd been like, oh, I might see this. No, don't. But I will say, like I said, the first half, Mel Gibson acting was great. Like, he was serious. It reminded me a lot of his early 90s stuff. And I was like, damn, this is good. I'm like, I forget how good kind of like Russell Crowe, they've done a lot of shit, but when they get serious and they give it 100. But yeah, there's scenes like they're doing no or laughing, and it's just so slow mo and cheesy. So I'm going to cut to the chase because I know we're getting on the time, and I took a lot for this. This is the one that irked me the most. I did enjoy the first third, so I'm going to say it's not close to the bottom, but it might be in my bottom third. Yeah, and mind you, Soda, my bottom third is like from 60 on.
Yes.
So I say that. That movie started. Is it all right? At the moment, because I'm looking at the again as a whole. First third is great, and I'm looking at some of these movies. I'm like, some of this isn't great. I'm putting this at number 58. This is going right underneath Final Destination Bloodlines. This might go down later when I sit and think about it. I don't know, because I'm looking what's below it. 58. This is going underneath Final Destination Bloodlines. And I think and that's just because I think the first third helped. Because I wasn't it. There was a lot of some of the stuff on the bottom was just crap from front to back, or just the premise was there or not. This was a very good, like I said, I have to look at it as a whole. But this could fall, yeah, because the movies like Smile, The Hunt, they got to be below this, because those weren't. Shark Side of the Moon, I'm telling you this right now before we go. Shark Side of the Moon might get a bump. I'm looking at things. I'll worry about that. I'm not attacking my list right now. I'm kind of at 58. Just because, like, I'm looking at things underneath it, like Cooties, Beetlejuice, Smile. Like, this had a strong third, and I think that's the only reason. And I'm really telling like I said, if it kept it up, this could have easily broken top 20, maybe top 10. But after that twist, and they're just going around the building, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Where's the thriller? Why is this guy sounding like the Joker all of a sudden? Like, he was like, I think he even said it, like Joaquin Phoenix would play me. I'm like, oh my god, this is so bad, so fucking bad. But I started off good, so all right, I got that out there. I know that was longer than I expected to be. I knew it, but Soto, before you start, this is movie 150. I did not want to pressure you to watch a fourth movie. I just was like, hey, if you get your next one's 150, whether we do, and you're like, dude, I'm getting this in. All right, Soto,
I felt pressured, just FYI.
There was no pressure.
But I had to do it.
No, because it's 150. Your next movie would have been, we would have started off next episode with 150, but no, we're ending it with 150. We kind of teased this. You went with Insidious 3. Go ahead. Floor is yours.
Insidious 3. Say hello to the sequel, Insidious: The Last Key. And okay, I'm happy I have YouTube TV. So I have YouTube TV because I watch football. And I just discovered recently that YouTube TV has like an on-demand. And Insidious: The Last Key was on demand. So I said, fuck it, easy watch. And yeah, as I'm doing this 100 movie challenge, a lot of times, because I have the TV in the living room, I have to say, I have to get buy-in from my wife and being like, what's the easy? Because if I can convince her to watch a movie, then it's like, it's easy peasy. And so that's why the Insidious movies, I have been watching them. So, because if I'm like, hey, you want to watch the next Insidious? She's like, absolutely. And it's like, I get a movie in. And so that's kind of like what Insidious: The Last Key was. I was like, fuck it, let's get this caught up. And yes, I will be watching Insidious: The Red Door very soon. I would probably say that sooner rather than later.
Okay.
But, this one, again, it goes back to, so we're back in time still. So with Insidious 3, we went back before Insidious 1. And we gave some backstory to Elise, this medium, and things she was going through. And then, so now Insidious: The Last Key is right before Insidious 1. So now both movies have not progressed the story forward.
Okay.
So that is kind of whatever. But Elise is a great character, and it's interesting to see her get into shenanigans. But again, this is a movie This movie felt like an episode of Insidious, the TV show. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I like plenty of TV shows, but I felt that it was very like, okay, like what are we doing? Just like side. It felt like filler. So I watched it. I enjoyed it, but I don't feel like it added like a heck of a lot to the franchise. It does at the end connect directly to Insidious 1. And so you're like, "Oh, okay, that's how it all started." But I've only seen 2 Insidious movies. It's a fucking saga where all of a sudden I'm going to be interested in how you connected it to the first fucking movie. You had 2 movies, then you had 2 prequels. What the fuck happened? Why aren't we moving forward anymore? So yeah, it was okay. And the next movie I watch will be Insidious: The Last Door, or The Red Door, not The Last Door. I assume that will be moving the story forward because it's got the characters on the front that I remember from Insidious 2. So hopefully that goes in the right direction. But it's like I'm okay with one prequel going back in time. Fine, give me some lore, whatever. But back to back movies, I'm like, what the fuck? And I mean, the demon was kind of cool. I guess his name is Keyface, and he like there was a really cool part where he put his like little key finger in somebody's throat and then turned it, and then like you couldn't hear their voices anymore. And the jump scares were there as the same, throughout the franchise. But it felt like this was like a made-for-TV movie for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was looking up The Red Door. I'm not going to spoil anything for you. Like I don't know much, but yeah, I think no, I think you're right on. Like it continues from there. I was just curious, but nothing spoiled. I just saw a tagline, which I'll save you from. Yeah, no, I mean, so let me ask you a question, because Insidious Chapter 3 was a prequel,
Yeah.
and would this? You just said it. You said because you watch these kind of back to back, and they did not progress the overall story. But my question to you is, say you had like a 2-week break, or just would have it been more enjoyable, or would have, because you didn't know it was did you know it was a prequel going in, or you just would like,
I didn't know.
Yeah. So
I
was
know
just
what it was about.
Okay. Yeah. So my question, but is that just because if Insidious Chapter 3 was a prequel, would this just been enjoyable if you waited a little bit? Does that make sense? Like, sometimes if you want to breathe a little bit. I mean, okay. So, I'm just wondering because, when you see things back to back and you have expectations and then, the story's not going anywhere, I can get it. But sometimes when you look back. Go ahead.
Like what added to the made for TV vibe was that I watched it on a stream for AMC where they had the like they clearly had the commercial edits, but then they skipped the commercials. Do you know what I mean?
Yep, exactly.
So like it had the fade ins and the fade outs. So it felt like I was watching something on TV. It didn't feel like a movie to me. Does that make sense?
Yep. No. I know exactly what you're talking about. So, all right.
That added to the vibe. It was like a regular movie, but it's like then it would have like these weird breaks that like, and you know how important editing is to a movie. It's like, but we're so ingrained in the United States that if we see those like fade in, fade outs, we know those are commercial breaks, and that makes us think of TV.
True.
At least me.
No. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. So, all right. So, but the major question: the 150th film. The looks like TV movie Last Key, Insidious Last Key. It sounds like it might go even lower in Chapter 3, but where is it going on your list?
I mean, I tell you, I still enjoyed it more than I enjoyed The Pope's Exorcist. That movie was a piece of shit. I didn't like that movie at all. So I'm okay with putting it right above it at 59 for now.
Well, 60. Well, you're gonna put it. Hold on. So is it the new number 60? Is it under Fantastic Fungi?
Oh, it's under Fantastic Fungi.
Okay, so your new number 60. Okay. Yes. I just want to get this. Insidious, the Last Key.
You got it.
So the question.
Yeah, and Red Door will be next.
Which I like it. I think you're right. I think it continues the story from the first 2. Whether or not it's good or not, we'll find out next week.
I mean, I could have skipped it, but I don't want to. I'm not a skipper.
No, you know, skip shit. When you're in it, you have to watch the shit to get to the good. It's all there. But Soto, that's 150 films.
Oh God,
50 more to go in about 3.5 months. So we keep up our
do it.
Easily, because if you think about it, even if we took 2 weeks off in September, that's basically 2 a week there. But I would like I said, if we can get it done a week early, I would like the final episode to still be in 2025. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so we're going to continue No Tubi September for the next couple of weeks. We are going. Soto started kind of spooky season early, but by the sounds of it, these movies aren't really spooky. It's okay. You know what? It's what you're watching. I'm just saving some for October. I don't know what I'm watching next week, but as usual, I'll pop something on. Maybe it'll be good, or maybe it'll be shit like On the Line. I don't know. Either way, if you're hearing this end. Nothing more to say. We always say it. Just comment anything. We'll watch films as long as we haven't seen it, and just watch some good movies, people.
Yes, hit play. That's it. That's all.
Is it?